Okay, let's go ahead and kick it off. Today is December 11, 2025. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. We are approaching the end of the 135 cycle. The 135 Kubernetes release is going to go out on the 17th, so fairly soon. We should be already at code complete and let's start getting kind of end of cycle status updates. If you have anything else that you want to discuss, please feel free to add to the bottom of the agenda. You can find the link in your calendar invite. And with that, I will go ahead and switch over to our planning spreadsheet and we can start getting status updates. The first item that we have is CSI volume health. Working on updating the design, staying in alpha this cycle. Any updates on this one from anyone?
So you can make me Hemant, by the way, here, the primary lead on that.
Okay, perfect. I will assign this one to you, Hemant.
Uh, so we are working on moving this to alpha. Like it's been alpha, but basically we are. I think in this release, I will target it to have a real release with API changes that we discussed at KubeCon and in other CSI community things and things. So that's the plan. But we still have some roadblocks to solve, namely like how the uh, status should be reported from the node, and then I think we should be good. But I hope to solve all of them. If anybody has some interest in this area, ping me offline on Slack, please. I would like to talk to you as well.
So basically planning for a second alpha in 136 next release.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Hemant. Next is change block tracking. This is remaining in alpha this cycle as well. Last status was kept, update was merged. Looks like this will be moved to 136. Any other status update here?
Yeah, I think we are for 1.35, we have made the changes, cap updated, so we are going to update cap for 1.36, trying to move it to beta. That's the next step.
Got it. Okay, so I will just keep that as is. Thank you, Shing. Next is enable privilege containers for Windows to replace CSI proxy for Windows. This is out of tree work. And we'll go to alpha in 136. So I guess this is the same story here. Anything else anybody wants to add for this one? Okay, let me fix the spelling here.
I think that one we don't really have any code changes.
Uh-huh.
So it's probably can just be because the cap was updated and then the code change was completely out of tree and that was already done. So I don't know if there was anything to move to 1.36 for that
I
one
see.
actually. Yeah.
So this could potentially be already done then.
Yeah, unless if they want to we're saying we're moving to, yeah, so I think we should be done already for 1.35, but
I
we
see.
can confirm
So
with.
let me change this then. So it says we'll go to alpha first in 136. So this should be
Oh, this is
137.
it's already, yeah, I think, yeah, there was probably we had some discussion on regarding the cap, but this is out of tree. We already get approval
Got it.
of the PR. I think the PR approval was the issue at that time. We already got it. Yeah, so
Okay, so let me
good.
change that to 135 and call this done and done. Cool. Thank you for that update, Ching. Next, we have volume attribute class, GA, set feature gate lock to true, CSI sidecar changes and error handling. Um, Any update on this one?
Yeah, for this one, we will lock the feature gate to true in 136.
Okay, so moving this to 136. Thank you, Sunny. Next is CSI sidecars all in one. Alpha this cycle. Last status was kept merged, targeting 136 alpha. So it looks like this is also a move to 136. We're preparing PR to refactor existing sidecars for migration. Perfect. Okay. So I will mark this as
Okay, it's asking for a new repo, so we need to apply for a new repo. So I think we need to decide on the name first, right? We are going to ask a new repo. What do you want to call it? This is the all-in-one repo. So I think we need to decide on the name, then I can go request for it.
yeah, let me add a comment here. I should just reply to the existing comment.
Did they put any name there? They didn't put name there, right?
No.
Okay. All right.
If anybody has a suggestion, please feel free to reply to this comment. Okay, next one is mutable CSI node allocatable property, beta and enabled by default this cycle. Both PRs are merged, including doc. Any additional update here? Do we have Eddie?
I think we are done. This one we are done. Code is there. Doc is also updated.
Okay, I'll go ahead and mark this one as completed then. Then Cozy overall moved to V1 Alpha 2. Last status was waiting on API reviews, working on controller implementation. Sample drivers need work. I'm going to mark this as move to 136. I see there's a discussion item we can come back to related to this after going over these statuses. Next is integrate CSI volume limits with autoscaler. Last status was schedule PR merged, out of tree PR in review, docs PR submitted. We'll work on doc for autoscaler. Any of these CLs still outstanding?
It's pretty much similar actually. Like the doc PR got merged, but the cluster autoscaler PR is not yet merged. It's being reviewed, and I was blocked on 135 rebase in the cluster autoscaler for a while, and that just landed, I think, day before yesterday, like Tuesday. Because cluster autoscaler has to run with V135, so that landed Tuesday. Then my PR depends on that. I had to rebase my PR again. I did, and it's being reviewed basically at this point. There are no outstanding comments on this on the PR. Everything is addressed. I mean, it should be pretty close to merge, but yeah.
Okay, so docs PR merged, code PR still in review.
In the
Um,
autoscaler repo, yeah.
are we going to be able to get this in for 135, or should we move it to 136?
No, no, the this is out of tree, right? Like the
Okay,
PR in autoscaler repositories is
got it.
for review, and they typically release like I don't know 1 week after 135 is released, so there's still time.
Okay, sounds
But
good. So I'll call this started and should be able to complete it in time.
yeah, the
Cool,
entry
thank you.
PR was merged. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's perfect. It sounds like we should be able to close this up then. Cool, thank you, Hemant. Next is mutable persistent volume node affinity. Status update on this one was code PR merged, docs PR is out. Looks like latest status is we're currently revising the blog PR based on feedback. So I will say code merged, docs slash blog PR in progress. Okay, mark this one as started as well, close to being completed. Next is CSI driver opt-in for service account tokens via secret field, going directly to beta this cycle. Entry PR was merged and docs PR submitted. So I think this one is done. Any other
Yeah. Doc
comments
PR
here?
also merged. It's just right now, it's just the blog that's being reviewed.
Okay. Okay, this is close to being completed as well.
Oh, see, the blog actually got merged.
Oh, blogs also merged.
Yeah.
Excellent. So this is done.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and mark this one as done. Okay, that's pretty much it in terms of status updates. I'm going to switch back to get the discussion started here with Blaine. Blaine, you want to talk through this real quick?
Yeah, thanks, Saad. Yeah, I have a lot of like minor points here. There are two like kind of major points. The first is we've been waiting on an API review, but I did reach out to one of the Kubernetes API reviewers, Joel Speed, who's been giving some feedback on the Cozy APIs. So this is not the SIG storage API, but Joel has had some really good feedback. And I don't think we need to get into these discussions now. I mean, I'm certainly willing, but I don't want to set that expectation. But Joel has recommended using conditions in our statuses, and I understand from Ping that that was specifically avoided. I think sometime around 2018, if I understand the timeline right, for volume snapshots. So if there is context that anyone has around that, I would really appreciate it.
This is about the whether to use conditions or not,
Right.
right? So I know he is a pretty active right now, pretty active API reviewer. So he is saying right now the suggestion is to use condition. Is that what we're saying? Trying to understand what's his recommendation.
Right. Yeah. Specifically for
Okay.
we have a Boolean that represents our ready to use, and we have an error field. And Joel has advised that those kinds of status items tend to not age well, and that statuses or conditions rather are the suggested way of representing those.
So I definitely need to, I need to check with Michelle because at that time this was definitely the the other way around when Golden Snapshot was introduced. Um, yeah, that's why we actually didn't use conditions because PVC at that time is already using conditions. Right? We
I
were
forget the nuances, but I think the
yeah.
concern with using kind of a Boolean status was if in the future you have to extend the API, can you do so in a way that that is extensible? If your existing Boolean status is too specific or too broad, sorry, then it makes it difficult to add additional Boolean statuses without having to change the meaning of the original. So I think that was the primary concern around that, and the idea was conditions would allow for potentially more flexibility. But I think ultimately, if the Boolean status was specific enough, that concern was alleviated. But I think, yeah, let's follow up with Michelle and Tim. They probably know the best on this because they are API reviewers, and I
Yeah,
think
because
they have the
we were
context.
asked not to, yeah, we were specifically asked not to use conditions at that time. Right? Because for a snapshot we used the Boolean. We were asked not to use conditions at that time. I thought there was something has to do with the state machine or something, but I
Yeah.
couldn't remember the details. But maybe things have changed. That was a few years back,
Yeah,
right?
I
Maybe
think it
now
was
there are.
basically you don't want to encode a state machine into the
Yeah,
API.
I remember something like about that. Yeah. Um, I think Cozy initially was using conditions, right? And then did we change it to photo snapshot? And then now it looks like uh, maybe condition is the recommended
I,
way.
Maybe
I
Blaine, you can send an email to SIG Storage and Michelle and Tim, and we
okay.
can follow up or a chat, whatever works best. And based on what you learned, if you don't mind coming back here and letting us know, I think it'll be good education for everyone in this group.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
will do, and thank you for. Yeah, I think yeah, this is a big topic. All of this. Um, the next item is regarding like opaque parameter maps. So for yeah, this yeah, there it is. Um, for Cozy, we're following the like storage class PVPVC model pretty closely, and we're trying to uh, basically keep usability by familiarity as much as possible. Joel has recommended that those can be kind of hard to use. My impression is that there's not a lot of pushback against that in for Kubernetes storage classes, but if anyone here is like aware of any kind of like negative feedback regarding opaque parameters and thinks that it could be good for Cozy to diverge, let me know. My
So in
current
general, I
thinking
think
is,
we've tried to avoid you putting opaque parameter maps or kind of like key value maps generally in the API because they become a way to punch a hole through the API.
mhm,
And especially with things like CSI and Kubernetes storage APIs, the goal is really to standardize the consumption of storage. And so if you expose something that allows one specific user to talk to one specific backend and do something in a very custom way that can't be done by any other storage system, you risk kind of kind of breaking that abstraction layer. So we
right.
try to be very careful about where we expose parameter maps. I think in general, the way that it's been done with CSI and Kubernetes storage is to try to be as minimal as possible. And where kind of absolutely necessary, there is a certain amount of context that is required to complete storage operations. And for storage classes specifically, uh, if you look at the Kubernetes APIs that were exposed there, the idea is that from an end user perspective, because there's different consumers of Kubernetes, right? There is the application developer, and there is also the kind of the cluster operator. It is okay for the cluster operator to be aware of the nuances of the underlying storage. And so we effectively give them uh, a parameter map in the form of a storage class where they can set arbitrary fields, which frankly, we don't really care about the details of. And for the end user, they have a consistent handle in the name of a storage class. They don't actually, operate on any of these parameters inside the parameter map. And that kind of indirection gives us the flexibility of being able to expose a bunch of different underlying storage features that may be unique to a given system in a way that is fairly consistent for the application developer. So presumably you could have, something like a fast or slow storage class that effectively gives you the same behavior across different platforms, even though the set of parameters to make a given storage system fast or slow can be very different. And the application developer doesn't need to be aware of those. It's been abstracted away. And only the cluster operator needs to be aware of that. And so I think in the way that we've been using opaque parameters, it's really selective and it's not to poke a hole in the API. It's really to kind of assist in this extensibility without violating the API abstraction. That's the context on the CSI and Kubernetes side. Does that make sense? And does it map to kind of what you were thinking for Cozy as well?
Yeah, absolutely. In Cozy, we have avoided exposing those to users, having it be on the bucket class and bucket access class, which are like the analog to storage class. So the usage is a direct parallel to what CSI has implemented. Yeah, the the kind of feedback I was wanting to solicit was just whether there has been feedback over time about whether that parameter map is insufficient or somehow not enough in that model. Um, if that is the case, we may have an opportunity to do something different in Cozy. And if that's not the case, then I think Cozy will do best to continue having the familiar API
Yeah,
without
got
like
it.
trying to reinvent things.
I think overall it's been a pretty powerful model. Just the way that we've done storage classes and dynamic provisioning. I think the main feedback or area of improvement that folks have been working on recently is okay, it's cool that you can do this at provision time, but what if you want to change some of these parameters after provisioning? How do you make some of them mutable? So a lot of the work that's been happening more recently is like, okay, I've already provisioned a volume and I want to change some attributes of it post provision time. What are the processes for doing that? At this point, we're introducing new objects to do that, independent of the storage class itself to a certain extent. But that's maybe something that if you want to skate to the puck, that's maybe something you should look into.
Yeah, I think you're alluding to volume attribute classes.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, that was something I was hoping to target for the current review, but there's not quite enough time. So that will be a future item for Cozy for sure.
Makes sense.
Um, the other question I have is, I know I can ask Jan about this, but I also wanted to make a note of it here, just so everything's visible. Is Joel mentioned that particularly in backup and restore scenarios and possibly others, metadata and statuses can be lost on objects. And I was considering how this could affect our model that mirrors PVC PV, and wondering how PV PVC handles this. I suspect that this could be why volume name is in the spec rather than in the status. I have some questions around how the PVs reference
Yeah, I think this
PVC
is
to
more of
PV.
an API principle that the spec is supposed to be kind of defining everything permanent that you need to know. And status is something that should be able to be constructed dynamically. And so if it is lost, it should be able to be dynamically reconstructed. But all maybe Hamath or Shin can elaborate on how we do that for PVCs.
So, okay, so here you're talking about backup restore, right? So, when you do backup restore, um, so a lot of times people, when at the restore time, they just create a new PVC. So what they have is they will be backing up all the metadata, which is the YAML, basically, all the resources, your secrets, config maps, and the pod, state for set, PVC YAML, and your data. And then at the restore time, a lot of time they create a new volume. There are cases where people do some kind of like in-place restore, but still, we usually don't like try to get the status like exactly the same as before. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's not how backup restore works for PVCs.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, certainly, storage is always like kind of has its own
Yeah,
caveats.
so in case of PVPVC, yeah, there's nothing that is there in status that like we would need to recreate them actually. In case of PVPVC, like PV has the only thing relevant thing in PV is I think the released or not released, and PVC has bunch of stuff, but those were added for purposes of like uh how to say like say volume modification, expansion, and things like that. So when you do a backup restore of the PVC, then it's expected that whatever was in the spec, like the system was, you wouldn't back up a PVC which was still one or the other things were still happening to it, like volume is being modified, PVC is being modified, then you wouldn't try and back up. Then you will have, like, if you back it up, then you will have inconsistent state. So yeah, so expectation is that the what was in the spec will match what is there in status.
Okay. Yeah, that is helpful. I may also reach out to either of you a little bit just to talk about backup and restore in the cozy world, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. If I remember correctly, in volume snapshot case, we do things differently. We have the volume snapshot content object where the actual ID of the snapshot is in the status, if I remember.
Right, but usually people don't really like backup snapshot. People use snapshot as a tool to
Yeah,
back
but
the data. Yeah, I'm just
yeah,
saying. So, so you don't really like you're not really trying to construct the. I mean, you're not really trying to preserve exact the same thing. It's just you want to make sure your data is the same, but it's not like you're saving the like the IDs or things like that. So you actually need to create a new PVPVC at the restore time. Because otherwise that's like a different workflow. If you just want to keep your exact original thing, that's totally different workflow. But typical backup restore case, you actually will be creating a new object.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah, I don't know if there are other comments on this, I can pause for a second. I'll take that as a no. So the last note I have is that I spoke to Michelle at KubeCon, and she raised a really good point about so in the V1 Alpha 2 of Cozy, we are introducing read-write mode support, and Michelle suggested that we may need to specify or delineate between data and metadata permissions, also potentially metadata permissions for objects within the bucket as well as on the bucket itself. I thought about this quite a bit, and my current proposal is to basically just combine them all into a single idea. I think that's the most portable, and then have the assumption that when a user has write permission, they have write permission to objects and metadata as well, metadata on the object and the bucket itself, with the exception of metadata that would allow them to control behavior. I put a link to the discussion there. So if anyone has any opinions or suggestions, please feel free. But yeah, this is definitely a topic where I think other input could be useful.
Yeah, thanks for flagging that.
Yeah, and that's all I have. And yeah, I appreciate all of your time.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Blaine. Feel free to come back anytime to chat, especially if you learn kind of a direction on the Boolean status stuff. And with that, I will announce that the next meeting is going to be canceled. It's going to be Christmas holiday. So we will reconvene on January 8th. Any other topics for discussion today, folks? All right, I will give you half an hour back today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.